about. So anyway, I finally caught up on This Is Us tonight because last night I was not feeling so good, and I was asleep by 9 because I was very ill, and I was like, I guess I was too exhausted. Anyway, so I caught up tonight, and I actually thought this episode of This Is Us, the most recent one, was probably the best in the story arc of sort of the Jack Pearson death situation. So anyway, so I'll stop now. If you don't watch This Is Us, stop watching this, because that's what I'm going to be ranting about right now. Anyway, so I thought it was the best because I thought it did a tremendous job of just showcasing the myriad of emotions that comes with grief from losing a loved one. And while I am very fortunate to not know what Rebecca went through, and I don't even want to tempt fate by even talking about that, I thought that Mandy Moore did a tremendous job of just being that mother who's gone through that kind of loss. I've seen my own mom go through that with other people from our family that have passed away. I mean, I've been through that, as I'm sure we've all had in our lives, and it just reminded me of how stoic and strong and together that women often have to be in these situations. You have to hold it together. I know that when, like people on my father's side have passed away, like his relatives, it's often my mom who is the one who's sort of holding it together, who's keeping everyone in check. I think, this notion that women are the weaker sex, that we can't handle stuff, I think is bullshit. I think when it comes to the big stuff, we tend to be the ones who hold it together more. I think we pull through. We bring strength. We know how to do it. I think that's why. I mean, look, we do it in childbirth. We get through some very tough moments. So I just thought that was a wonderful portrayal of just grief and just having to be there for the people you love. But the reason why I wanted to come on here is because I read a post, which I actually just shared rather, and it's a great post. It's a post about the issues with This Is Us and maybe how Jack is portrayed and how it can be a little unrealistic and honestly bring out some jealous feelings among its viewers, because it's such an unrealistic perspective. And I agree. When I started watching This Is Us, a lot of the times I was like what the hell is going on? I almost laughed at like how perfect Jack seemed to be. I'm like, really? Is anyone's husband like this? I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I love my husband and everything like that, but like, this is just over the top. I mean, come on. Like, for a show that really delves into the flaws of its characters to sort of paint over those of Jack, it's like I was like, well, it's just not right. It's like, it can't be that off in that way. And when I started watching it more, and I really looked at it, I began to realize that the reason why I believe the writers have painted Jack in this way, have created this character to be so inspiring, to be almost so good and almost so perfect, is because and actually the one, yes, Stacey, and still turning to addiction. Oh, yeah, and I'll get to that too. I think, the show is trying to show it's written. You're supposed to see it from the eyes of the children who are now grown, and obviously through Rebecca. And when we see someone from who's passed away, we have this view of them that is the highlights. Basically, they are the best of the best, because that's what we want to remember of the ones we love. We don't want to we don't remember their flaws. And I think they put, they obviously have to talk about Jack's addiction because it's part of who he was. But, even with that, they focus on that is how we beat it. Like we see him, yes, he faces it and he takes care of it. He goes to AA. We see him doing his, I think they call it the Lord's Prayer. We see him, doing his steps and like really just, doing like even that he's perfect in. He's almost perfect in adjusting his imperfection, and and it can be tough when you're like, oh, like this is so fake. Like I can't believe this isn't my life. But again, like it's not reality, and I think that's important to remember about why he's written that way. And I think when you start looking at it from that point of view, you can sympathize more with the other characters, and you can see like, well, this is not how Jack is, from his own view or how he really is. It's just it's how his family remembers him, and that's how they want to remember him, and it's actually kind of beautiful in a way. And I believe that in order for the series to grow, I think they're gonna need to start digging deeper into his character, into his flaws, and showing more of his life from his own perspective. So I think, thanks, Stacey. You're my loyal viewer. So thank you for sticking with me while I rant before I go to bed. So I think, and I actually saw a little preview of, they're gonna have a storyline that takes Jack to Vietnam. So this is gonna be interesting because obviously this is before Rebecca. This is before the big three, and we are going to see some things from his eyes. Maybe we'll see a little more about his brother, but maybe we'll see some things that are not so good. I don't know. I mean, maybe he wasn't a perfect soldier. Maybe he did some things he wasn't proud of. I mean, I would be very interested to see how they paint that story, because this is not a story that's going to have the view of his wife and children. This is going to be all from him, basically. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to just seeing how the perspective shifts on the other characters. Maybe, again, with them delving into more of Jack's story, perhaps that will be more of his view and his perspective on his life and how he sees Rebecca. And I bet, for us moms out there, if it's from his point of view, I think we're gonna start seeing a very perfect mom. We're gonna start seeing a mom who's, loving and caring and wonderful, because that's how Jack saw her, which is also very beautiful. So, and again, if it does go that way, and if it does start showing her as being this like awesome super mom, I'm gonna try to remind myself that is probably from his perspective, and it's one of love, and that it's not always about our views. It's not a reflection on us and our lives. So that's that's how I feel about that, and that's my thoughts on the show. So I just wanted to rant a little bit about that. So thanks to anyone else who's watching, but Stacey, thanks for watching and commenting the most. And yeah, and then just before I kind of sign off, I just want to sort of segue into what I really was going to talk about earlier tonight when I thought I was going to do this live at a normal time was just the idea of reality and like how we present ourselves. And I think there was this little like rant a little while back on Instagram about, are people being too fake on Instagram, or like, are they not showing like the reality? Like, stop doing all the stage stuff. And, I was actually, and I was thinking about even trying doing live on Instagram, because, that's where people are going. But, the one thing I do like about Instagram, and what I try to do on Instagram, is I try to keep most of the stories positive. I tend to mix it up on Facebook, but on Instagram, I'm really committed to just sharing like just good-natured, positive, upbeat photos. Nothing that's like, staged or posed or anything like that, but just happy stuff, like the good stuff in my life, the highlights, I guess, as you will. And I think what we need to understand when it comes to social media and Instagram especially, is that I think there's a difference between focusing on the positive and versus sharing a skewed reality. I think when we are sharing the best of us, it's not being fake necessarily, because when I share photos of my kids playing or doing artwork, it's usually messy. My house is not looking great, but they're having fun. These are some good moments. Now, there may be some bad moments in between here and there, but I think we know that by now. I think, did I lose my, I don't know if I have a network. Anyway, I think I'm losing everyone here, but I'll just finish with this. I think, we've all been on Facebook and Instagram enough to know that people share what they want. A lot of times people share the highlights. It's all right. If that's what you want to put out there, that's totally cool. It's up to us, again, to, kind of take what we want from it and to decide what we want to get from what people share. And, to not really get too caught up in the filters, because sometimes we need that, and we need those filters to help us through. And just to tie it back to This Is Us, sometimes those filters are healing. Sometimes those filters are to help us get through some tough times. So, with that said, everyone you do you, and don't worry so much about whether you're being fake or not, because, you know yourself. Anyway, so thanks for listening to me. Thanks, Stacy, for being such a good commenter. And that's it. Hopefully I'll be back on at some normal times next week. Bye.